What are some of the personal, like they are on the aspect of personal hygiene, some of the things that these are vendors are supposed to do? You go to someone to buy food and you realize that the person is just using the bare hand to fetch. Meanwhile, the person's fingernails or some is just too grown.
Yes,
Their
I think
hairs are left
yes,
open.
and all that. I think this is something we have talked about. Anything that we do to prevent the food from contamination. So right from, that's why I said there should be occasional visits to these vendors. When they come in, they are supposed to inspect the surrounding. How is this person adhering to infection prevention control measures? For example, you say you said you are selling food, but you have your hair left opened. You know, one of the places in the body that is having lots of microorganisms is the hair.
Okay.
So ideally it's supposed to be covered. And that's why in all restaurants which really adhere to safety practices, they do have that apron.
Yes.
So you should have a protective clothing to cover the hair, and even the body itself.
Even, is it necessary the nose mask?
The nose, everything. Once you are handling food, you are supposed to cover all those places. So they do that, and it is very important to prevent the spread of infection. Ideally, if you are a food handler, you are not supposed to come into direct contact with the food. That is the safe practice. An individual who is taking the food can wash the hand clean and take the food.
But for someone,
yes, for the individual, even that one, we even say that the person should try as much as possible to use items which are clean to eat rather than using the bare hand. So if you are a public food handler, for you, under no circumstance should you come into direct contact with, ready to eat food. That's what I term it, ready to eat. For example, donut which is ready to be eaten, you are not supposed to touch it. So if you are fetching this food for a customer, it's supposed to be done with something other than the bare hand.
With a rubber.
At least with it's supposed to be with the right cutlery. If it's a fork or something, because we are also preaching against the use of these polythene bags and all that, because of its harmful effects and all that. So ideally we should encourage them to be using the right tools for the yes. And one thing is that sometimes you see them taking the monies that they are receiving from customers, that same hand is being used to pick the food items, and that's even more dangerous.
Because it has passed through a lot of hands.
Yes.
Maybe from a public toilet
to a whole lot. And so when they come around, they should be checking the person's practices, and be checking the bowls. When you even come outside, what they do in advanced countries, when they come with a full team. So they have their lab men. So the bowls that you have been using for, let's say, just a month, they will come, they'll pick a swab from the bowls or the spoons or the bowls you are even using to cook, and the sinks that you are using. They will pick swabs and perhaps take it to the lab. If it's going to take about a week or two, the report will come. The moment they see highly contaminated organisms like streptococcus and the staphylococcus and the rest, they are going to close your restaurant. So that's why they give them guidelines to adhere to. So if you adhere to those guidelines, you will not have the contamination at all. So it's not about coming to pick, give them the tickets and take your money, or come to check whether they are vaccinated or not. It's about doing some of these checks as well. You see somebody selling awache, and the person has used the bowls for over 6 months, same bowl. Hundreds of customers use the same spoon and all that. We are supposed to go around to check, take sample and see how safe these spoons are, how safe these bowls are, and all that. And sometimes too, they do come to take some blood samples of these food handlers.
hepatitis B and the like.
and all that. But then it is just one-stop shop.
Yeah.
They just do it once. When we take a condition like typhoid fever, it's not as if I'm negative today, I have received lifelong immunity to typhoid fever. You understand? So in every 6 months, I'm supposed to, once I'm still doing the business, I'm supposed to undergo testing again, and not to leave me for a very long, for the rest of my life, because I have once tested negative. And all these are issues for concern, which I think needs to be addressed.